Hello, everybody, and good morning once again. My name is Michael, and welcome back. We are continuing in our reading in the book of Deuteronomy, helping us better understand the wording of God. We finished up with chapter 27 and 28. 28 was quite a lengthy chapter, actually, about 68 verses. So it was a good, lengthy chapter. We're going to be attempting for chapters 29, 30, and 31 this morning, so that way we can go ahead and tomorrow get finished up with the book of Deuteronomy up to chapter 34 and start on our new book, the introduction to Joshua. So yes, very good, very exciting. We are just about done with the Torah, or the first 5 books of the Bible. Very excited to be at this point. It is not a short trip that we've taken here. It's about 223 pages on the book that I'm, because of the small print and everything, is only about 223 pages. King James Version, it's 324, but that's also because this has more included into it. But yeah, anyways, stop yammering on here senselessly. But yeah, we're coming into, again, chapter 29. So we'll go ahead and get that started. I've gotten the keynotes already highlighted, so we're good on that aspect. I won't be having to sit here at least searching and highlighting. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get started, continuing including the keynotes, so that way we can help better understand exactly all of that we're reading. And yeah, here we go. So chapter 29, the covenant renewed in Moab. These are the words of the covenant that the Lord commanded Moses to make the people of Israel in the land of Moab, besides the covenant that he had made with them at Horeb. And the covenant, Moses now details the agreement under which people would enter the land of Palestine. This Palestinian covenant was in addition to the Mosaic covenant given at Sinai, or Horeb. Continuing in verse 2, and Moses summoned all Israel and said to them, "You have seen all that the Lord did before your eyes in the land of Egypt, to Pharaoh and to all his servants, and to all his land. The great trials your eyes saw, the signs and those great wonders. But to this day, the Lord has not given you a heart to understand, or eyes to see, or ears to hear." The people were blind to the meaning of all that God had done for them. So they were still ignorant, not able to see the full grasp of what God had actually partaken for them. I have led you 40 years in the wilderness. Your clothes have not worn out on you, and your sandals have not worn off your feet. You have not eaten bread, and you have not drunk wine or strong drink, that you may know that I am the Lord your God. And when you came to this place, Sihon, the king of Heshbon, and Og, the king of Bashan, came out against us to battle, but we defeated them. See notes, and you can go back to reference Numbers 21, verses 21 through 33, and Numbers 32. Continuing with verse 8. We took their land and gave it for an inheritance to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of the Manassites. Therefore keep the words of this covenant and do them, and they may prosper in all that you do. You are standing today, all of you, before the Lord your God, the heads of your tribes, your elders, and your officers, all the men of Israel, your little ones, your wives, and the sojourner who is in your camp, from the one who chops your wood to the one who draws your water, so that you may enter into the sworn covenant of the Lord your God, which the Lord your God is making with you today, that he may establish you today as his people, and that he may be your God, as he promised you, and as he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. It is not with you alone that I am making this sworn covenant, but with whoever is standing here with us today before the Lord our God, and with whoever is not here with us today. The nations, is about what we're about to ready to read, is Edom, Ammon, and Moab. You know how we lived in the land of Egypt, and how we came through the midst of the nations through which you passed. Again, that's Edom, Ammon, and Moab. And you have seen their detestable things, their idols of wood and stone, of silver and gold, which were among them. Beware, lest there be among you a man or woman or clan or tribe whose heart is turning away today from the Lord our God to go and serve the gods of those nations. Gall and wormwood, poisonous and bitter plants. That's 18, right? I guess I haven't finished 18. Beware lest there be among you a root bearing poisonous and bitter fruit. That's why I got to finish reading the entire verse before going into the keynotes. Still a learning curve, so we're fine tuning it here. But poisonous and bitter plants, respectively, an idolatrous individual or group could infect the entire nation with the poison of idolatry. A similar warning is found in Hebrews 12, verse 15. Continuing on with verse 19. One who, when he hears the words of this sworn covenant, blesses him in his heart, saying, I shall be safe, though I walk in the stubbornness of my heart. This would lead to the sweeping away of moist and dry alike. The Lord will not be willing to forgive him, but rather the anger of the Lord and his jealousy will smoke against that man, and the curses written in this book will settle upon him. And the Lord will blot out his name from under heaven, and the Lord will single him out from all the tribes of Israel for calamity, in accordance with all the curses of the covenant written in this book of the law. And the next generation, your children who rise up after you, and the foreigner who comes from a far land will say, when they see the afflictions of that land and the sickness with which the Lord has made it sick, the whole land burned out with brimstone and salt, nothing shown and nothing growing, where no plant can sprout, and overthrow like that of Sodom and Gomorrah, Admah and Zeboim, which the Lord overthrew in his anger and wrath. Brimstone, sulfur, or the stifling sulfurous gases that come from volcanic eruption. Admah, Zeboim, cities in league with Sodom. You can see notes on Genesis 14:2 is in reference to it. I think the C notes one is for mine. But anyways, the whole land burned out from when. Oh wait, no. All the nations will say, why has the Lord done thus to this land? What caused the heat of this great anger? When people will say, it is because they abandoned the covenant of the Lord, the God of their fathers, which he made with them. He brought them out of the land of Egypt, and went and served other gods and worshipped them, gods whom they had not known and whom he had not allotted to them. Therefore the anger of the Lord was kindled against his land, bringing up all the curses written in this book. And the Lord uprooted them from the land in anger, and fury, and great wrath, and cast them into another land, as they are this day. The secret things belong to the Lord our God, but the things that are revealed belong to us and to our children forever, that we may do all the words of this law. Let's see, that is verse 29. So this important verse sets the limits and purpose of God's revelation. Some things he chooses to keep to himself, but what he has revealed through the law in this instance is the business of his children to obey. And then continuing, and we're into chapter 30. The cliff note for the, or side note for this is for verses 1 through 10, a prediction of the regathering of Israel from all the nations to which she was scattered. This regathering will occur at the second coming of Christ, and will include the restoration to the land of Palestine, a work of grace in the people's hearts. See notes on 10:16 and Jeremiah 31, judgment of Israel's enemies, and prosperity in the land. So, repentance and forgiveness starting at chapter 30. And when all these things come upon you, the blessings and the curse, which I have set before you, and you call them to mind among all the nations where the Lord your God has driven you, and return to the Lord your God, you and your children, and obey his voice in all that I command you today, with all your heart and with all your soul, then the Lord your God will restore your fortunes and have mercy on you. And he will gather you again from all the peoples where the Lord your God has scattered you. If your outcasts are on the uttermost parts of heaven, from there the Lord your God will gather you, and from there he will take you. And the Lord your God will bring you into the land that your fathers possessed, that you may possess it, and he will make you more prosperous and numerous than your fathers. And the Lord your God will circumcise your heart and the heart of your offspring, so that you will love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul, that you may live. And the Lord your God will put all these curses on your foes and enemies who persecuted you. And you shall again obey the voice of the Lord your God, of the Lord, and keep all his commandments that I command you today. The Lord your God will make you abundantly prosperous in all the work of your hand, in the fruit of your womb, and in the fruit of your cattle, and in the fruit of your ground. For the Lord will again take delight in prospering you, as he took delight in your fathers. When you obey the voice of the Lord your God, so keep his commandments and his statutes that are written in this book of the law, when you turn to the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. Let's see here. And for verses 11 through 14, some things are known only to God, but the commands of his voice, written down for all to read, were his clear and accessible revelation to Israel, to be accepted in the heart. The choice of life and death, verse 11. For this commandment that I command you today is not too hard for you, neither is too far off. It is not in heaven that you should say, who will ascend to heaven for us and bring it to us, that we may hear it and do it? Neither is it beyond the sea that you should say, who will go over the sea for us and bring it to us, that we may hear it and do it? But the word is very near you. It is in your mouth and in your heart, so that you can do it. See, I have set before you today life and good, death and evil. If you obey the commandments of the Lord your God that I command you today, by loving the Lord your God, by walking in his ways, and by keeping his commandments and his statutes and his rules, then you shall live and multiply. And the Lord your God will bless you in the land that you are entering to take possession of it. But if your heart turns away, and you will not hear, but are drawn away to worship other gods and serve them, I declare to you today that you shall surely perish. You shall not live long in the land that you are going over the Jordan to enter and possess. I call heaven and earth to witness against you today that I have set before you life and death, blessing and curse. Therefore choose life, that you and your offspring may live, loving the Lord your God, obeying his voice, and holding fast to him. For he is your life and the length of days, that you may dwell in the land. And the Lord swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give them. Just a little bit of keynote reference back in 30. Oh, no, wait, never mind. We're having to go to chapter 31. So continuing with chapter 31. Joshua to succeed Moses. So Moses continued to speak these words to all Israel. And he said to them, I am 120 years old today. I am no longer able to go out and come in. The Lord has said to me, You shall not go over this. The wife's grabbing food. You shall not go over this Jordan. The Lord your God himself will go over before you. He will destroy these nations before you, so that you shall dispossess them. And Joshua will go over at your head, as the Lord has spoken. And the Lord will do to them as he did to Sihon and Og, the kings of the Amorites, and to their land when he destroyed them. So reference, I can no more go out and come in. Physically, Moses was incapable, but he had been forbidden to go into the promised land with the people. And the Lord will do to them as he did to Sihon and Og, the kings of the Amorites, and to their land when he destroyed them. And the Lord will give them over to you. And you shall do to them according to the whole commandment that I have commanded you. Be strong and courageous. Do not fear or be in dread of them. for it is the Lord your God who goes with you. He will not leave you or forsake you. Then Moses summoned Joshua and said to him in the sight of all Israel, Be strong and courageous, for you shall go with this people into the land of the Lord that has sworn to their fathers to give them, and you shall put them in possession of it. 7. So long before Joshua had been made leader of the army, and more recently had been invested with some of Moses' authority, is in reference to 7 and 8. It is the Lord who goes before you. He will be with you. He will not leave you or forsake you. Do not fear or be dismayed. So continuing into verse 9, the reading of the law. And going into 9 to 13, the deposit of a written copy with the priests, symbolizing the transfer or responsibility for enforcement to the priests, and regulation for reading the covenant periodically, were typically conditions of imperial treaties of that time, place which he shall choose, the central sanctuary. The central sanctuary. Then Moses wrote this law and gave it to the priests, the sons of Levi, who carried the ark of the covenant of the Lord, and to all the elders of Israel. And Moses commanded them, at the end of every 7 years, at the set time in the year of release, at the Feast of Booths, when all Israel comes to appear before the Lord your God at the place where he will choose, you shall read this law before all Israel in their hearing. Assemble the people, men, women, and little ones, and the sojourner within your town, so that they may hear and learn to fear the Lord your God, and be careful to do with the words of this law, and that their children, who have not known it, may hear and learn to fear the Lord your God, as long as you live in the land that you are going over the Jordan to possess. So verse 14, which Joshua commissioned to lead Israel. And the Lord said to Moses, Behold, the days approach when you must die. Call Joshua and present yourselves in the tent of meeting, that I may commission him. And Moses and Joshua went and presented themselves in the tent of meeting, and the Lord appeared in the tent in a pillar of cloud, and the pillar of cloud stood over the entrance of the tent. So at this point, God spoke to Moses face to face for the last time on earth, as in reference to 31:14. And the Lord said to Moses, Behold, you are about to lie down with your fathers. Behold, you are about to lie down with your fathers. Then this people will rise and whore after the foreign gods among them in the land that they are entering, and they will forsake me and break my covenant that I have made with them. Then my anger will be kindled against them in that day, and I will forsake them and hide my face from them, and they will be devoured. And many evils and troubles will come upon them, so that they will say in that day, Have not these evils come upon us because our God is not among us? And I will surely hide my face in that day because of all the evil that they have done, because they have turned to other gods. Now therefore write this song and teach it to the people of Israel. Put it in their mouths, that this song may be witness for me against the people of Israel. So Moses and Joshua, the verb is plural, are commissioned to write a song, a means of helping the people remember more easily the requirements of the covenant. For when I have brought them into the land flowing with milk and honey, which I swore to give to their fathers, and they have eaten and are full and grown fat, they will turn to other gods and serve them, and despise me and break my covenant. And when many evils and troubles have come upon them, this song shall comfort them as a witness, for it will live unforgotten in the mouths of their offspring. For I know what they are inclined to do even today, before I have brought them into the land that I swore to give. So Moses wrote this song the same day and taught it to the people of Israel. And the Lord commissioned Joshua, the son of Nun, and said, Be strong and courageous, for you shall bring the people of Israel into the land that I swore to give them. I will be with you. So Joshua was now directly commissioned by God. And then verse 24, the words of this law, the contents of Deuteronomy. When Moses had finished writing the words of this law into a book to the very end, whose Moses commanded the Levites who carried the ark of the covenant of the Lord, take this book of the law and put it by the side of the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, that it may be there for a witness against you. For I know how rebellious and stubborn you are. Behold, even today, while I am yet alive with you, you have been rebellious against the Lord. How much more after my death? Assemble to me all the elders of your tribes and your officers. Oh, thank you, darling. That I may speak these words in their ears and call heaven and earth to witness against them. For I know that after my death you will surely act corruptly and turn aside from the way that I have commanded you. And then in the days to come, evil will befall you, because you will do what is evil in the sight of the Lord, provoking him to anger through the work of your hands. All right, so that is going to be the end of our reading this morning. We'll stop at 32, which puts us at our next reading doing 32, 33, and 34, which will be the conclusion of Deuteronomy. Chapter 32 starts with the Song of Moses, so I like that we're stopping here now, and give the ability to get that taken care of tomorrow. A lot of great reading here. Again, thank you very much for joining me this morning. I hope you all have a blessed week. I love you. God bless you, and we will see you next time.